Welcome back to the Gentleman's Gazette. Today's video is all about the duffel coat, the only item in classic menswear with a hood. We discuss the history, the details, what you should look for, how to wear it, and what you should buy. First of all, let's talk history. How did the duffel coat come to be? Basically, there are two theories. According to the first one, the duffel coat is named after the town of Duffel, ending in EL, which is in Belgium. It was a town with a rich history in cloth making that exported its good in the 15th century. Now, according to the other theory, the duffel coat was invented by John Partridge in 1887. According to that one, the duffel is spelled D-U-F-F-L-E, not E-L. And as the story goes, in the late 19th century, the Royal British Navy was looking for a hard-wearing outer garment and came across John Partridge's duffel coat, which they eventually commissioned, and so it became widely popular in the Navy. Some argued that the Anglo-Saxons took the Belgian word duffel and made it their own. In my opinion, the English theory is a lot more plausible, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. If you want to learn more about the history of the duffel coat, check out our in-depth guide on the website here. Basically, the duffel coat was at the height of its popularity in the 50s and 60s. The duffel coat was popularized in World War II by Sir Bernard Montgomery and Sir David Stirling. Subsequently, people also wore it for civilian wear, and there is actually a specific style of a duffel coat in a camel color that is called the MONTY, which is the short form for Montgomery. Montgomery was a field marshal who always wore this coat in photos, and so it became iconic. Colonel David Stirling liked it even so much that he wore it in the desert. Other people, like the famous Jean COCTEAU, wore a duffel day in and day out and nothing else. Today, duffel coats are popular again because they're warm, they're hard-wearing, and they're more casual than other items in classic menswear, especially overcoats, partially because of the hood, but also because of the toggle closure. So, how is a duffel coat distinguished from other coats, and what makes a duffel coat a duffel? First of all, it's the fabric. It's a heavy 34-ounce boiled woolen cloth in a camel or khaki color. It's about 1,050 grams per meter. It's usually double-faced and has some form of a twill structure which is similar to Serge. Although camel was the original color, later shades of brown and khaki were introduced too. It all depended on the different dye lots. By the 50s, colors like navy, black, or gray had become more popular, but also something like red. If there's a color out there, chances are a duffel coat will exist in exactly that. Because of that, a duffel coat is really great because you can have a piece of history in exactly the color tone you like. Not many outer garments in classic menswear come in such a range of different colors. Now, the original fabric was very rough and coarse, and although it was hard wearing, it's not something most people would like today. Because of that, modern duffel coats are made out of different materials, such as loden. While very popular in Austria and Germany, it's not a typical fabric because it's not woven, but it is felted. As such, it's very waterproof, hard-wearing, and very insulating. The duffel coat I'm wearing here right now is not as thick and not as heavy, but it still keeps me warm. 2. An authentic duffel coat needs a toggle closure. Originally, that was made out of hemp rope as well as wooden toggles. Today, you can also find leather closures with horn toggles. Personally, I find them more attractive because it's still a natural material and every toggle is different, yet it is very functional and has that beautiful shape of the horn tip. The third hallmark of a duffel is the throat latch. It's supposed to help you close up your neck and protect you from the elements. Sometimes you can find duffel coats that have some that are sewn on, but the original one was just on a button and it's kept under the collar, under the hood when you're not wearing it. 4. An original duffel has shoulder pads. They were reinforcing, kept you warmer and protected better from the elements. I guess if you wanted, you could also use a rifle in it and it would wear out less, but I don't think that was the original purpose. 5. A duffel coat needs patch pockets that are roomy and comfortable. Last but not least, the original duffel coat did not have a lining because it was a double-faced cloth that was very heavy already. By the 1950s, companies like Gloverall introduced tartan patterns, and that has become quite popular with duffel coats. So generally, you find everything from a black watch tartan all the way to a very colorful tartan. The coats I'm wearing here right now have more darker ones with red, gray, and black. As a side note, the original MONTY duffel coat had leg straps, so you could walk through very windy weather without your coat coming up and cooling you down. Honestly, I've never seen a duffel coat or an overcoat with leg straps, but if you find one, consider yourself lucky. Alright, now that you know the hallmarks of a duffel coat, how should you wear it and how is it combined? Traditionally, a duffel coat was worn on top of uniforms. That meant it was cut roomier. If you look at older pictures, you can also see there's lots of excess fabric in a duffel coat. Because of that, duffel coats today are cut still wider than maybe other outer garments you own. Of course, that's reflected in the sizing. For example, both the coats I'm wearing here right now are vintage Gloveralls, and the gray one is size 42 regular, which is what I typically wear in jackets. If I put it on, there's a lot of excess fabric on my shoulder, and overall, if I lift my arms, it just feels very roomy. For a trimmer fit, I got the lighter brown one, which is a 38 long because I have long arms, and it's distinctly slimmer. In this day and age, overcoats are worn a lot slimmer than they used to be, even if you wear maybe a suit underneath of it or a sweater. And because of that, I urge you to always go down in size or double check on the measurements before you buy something sight unseen. If you're a purist and you want the original roomy cut, go for it. Personally, I like to adapt the classics to modern times, and so I prefer a slimmer fit. It's by no means a slim fit, it's just slimmer than it was originally. Because of its more casual nature, you don't even need to wear it with a tweed coat, but I like it a lot with just a sweater. Of course, a cardigan would work as well. At the same time, never wear it with a tuxedo, but that should go without saying. A duffel coat is a great workhouse, it's hard wearing, it's a great everyday coat that you can just toss in the corner and it can take a beating. As such, it pairs really well with denim or jeans, with corduroy, with chinos, maybe even woolen slacks, ideally flannel slacks, or any other pants that you can think of. Rather than with a fine double-breasted suit, I suggest you go with rough knitwear. It's just more beautiful and suits the character of the duffel coat better. Because of that, I suggest you go with full brogue shoes, maybe boots or desert boots. Oxfords are maybe not the best choice, derbies or blouses are better. To learn more about footwear and the intricate styles of them, check out our in-depth guide on the website here. So what about duffel coat colors? The classic one are the camel and khaki shades, or maybe some shades of brown, such as the one I'm wearing here right now. They're easy to combine with all kinds of caramel colors, fall winter colors such as green, maybe dark burgundies, and if that's your style, it's the ideal color. Personally, I already have a lot of camel colored overcoats in my wardrobe, such as the British Warm, or a trench coat, or a regular overcoat, so I decided not to invest in yet another camel-colored overcoat. Instead, I opted for a light gray, which is a very nice color that can be worn with suits, but also with any kind of casual garment. Personally, I'd stayed clear of black duffel coats, simply because black is one of the most overrated color in menswear. Alternatively, I would go with a charcoal gray, which just suits it much better. If you're interested in a navy duffel coat, which looks just fine, I urge you to also take a closer look at a pea coat, simply because it's very similar and navy is its original color. If you're into preppy style, I suggest to look into maybe red duffel coats, maybe yellow ones, or bolder greens. It's a really great statement piece and it works well, it's traditional without being overboard. So what about the length? Originally, the Montys or duffel coats were quite long because they were supposed to keep you warm on a ship with a rough sea. Today, most duffel coats are about knee long, and you can also find some that are shorter. Personally, I really enjoy the knee length because it's about the right height. It's not too long, doesn't make you look like Columbo. At the same time, it doesn't make you freeze because it's too short. So where and how should you buy duffel coats? I think there is a brand out there called MONTY and it sells as the original Montgomery. It's priced around $300. I don't think it's of the highest quality. I think Gloverall offers some, but they're also different. Their material composition is usually polyamide 20% and wool 80%. I personally love to find a 100% wool duffel coat, which is very difficult. In terms of brands, you can find them from Brooks Brothers or places like Lodenfrei in Germany. Also a good duffel coat is LATCH and Oelke in Hamburg. Alternatively, Gloverall has some, and even other brands have them. If you invest in a duffel coat, make sure it's heavy and has the features we discussed before. Sometimes you can also find fashionable duffel coats in varsity styles from places like Comme des Garçons. To learn more about different brands and modern day duffel coats, please check out our in-depth guide on the website here. In today's video, I'm wearing two duffel coats. One of them is a light brown one. It's a vintage Gloverall that I got off of eBay. It has leather closures with horn toggles. And if you take a close look at the fabric, it's very nice and rich because it consists of many different colors. Not only is it nice and pleasing to the eye, but it also makes it very easy for you to combine it with other colors in your wardrobe. I'm wearing a piece of heavy knitwear, a tennis sweater with blue and light blue accent colors. I combine it with a finely striped red and white shirt and a brown and blue mottled necktie from Fort Belvedere, which you can find here. My pants are contrasting dark brown corduroys from Polo Ralph Lauren, and my boots are double-soled, thick cognac tan boots from Triggers. To add a little bit of contrast, I added boot laces from Fort Belvedere, and of course I pair them with over-the-calf socks in brown and blue that go well with the pants, and the other blue accents in my outfit. Of course, with boots, you hardly ever see the socks unless you take them off when you're inside. The gloves I'm wearing are a nice tan. They are lamb nappa gloves that are handmade in Hungary from finest Italian glove leather. They're cashmere lined, and they go well with the brown tones in my outfit. For a selection of high-end gloves in unusual yet classic colors, please check out our shop here. The other duffel coat in gray is basically the same model, it just has a different color, has a throat latch and everything else you see in the brown one. The color is not quite as deep, but it's still not a boring brown. It consists of lighter tones and darker tones of gray. It has pretty much the same tartan lining as the brown one, just with a gray background. The scarf is a double-sided wool silk scarf from Fort Belvedere with different patterns. For a selection of elegant scarves in cashmere and silk wool, please check out our shop here. If you enjoyed this video about overcoats, please make sure to check out our other videos about a trench coat or a pea coat or other items, because I'm sure you'll love them as well.